Almost everyone has a dream, but here's the hard truth. Most people will never live that dream. Not because they are lazy, not because they aren't smart enough. They lose it little by little. One excuse, one delay, one more, I'll start tomorrow. Now picture 100 people in a room. Every one of them has a big dream, a business, a book, a better life. 10 years from now, most of them will still be exactly where they are today. Not because they weren't smart enough, not because they didn't want it badly enough. Something quiet happens along the way. Something that slowly turns a dream into a regret instead. A regret is a strange, heavy thing to carry. Quiet, but never fully gone. It doesn't arrive all at once. It grows quietly, until one day you wonder where your dream went. So here's a real question, worth sitting with honestly for a moment. What actually separates the tiny few who make it from almost everyone else who doesn't? Is it talent? Is it luck? Is it simply being born in the right place? The real answer is much smaller than most people think. And the surprising part is this: almost anyone can use it. Stay with me until the end. Because before this story finishes, you'll probably discover that the biggest thing stopping your dream isn't outside you. It's something you do almost every day without even noticing. Let's look at someone many people know, Elon Musk. Today, people see Tesla and SpaceX and think of success. But that's not how his story began. He helped build Tesla into one of the world's best-known car companies, even when many experts believed it would fail. He also started SpaceX, a company that builds rockets, in an industry where almost nobody thought a new company could survive. In the early years, SpaceX failed again and again. One rocket failed, then another, then another. Each failure cost a lot of money. Many people thought the company was finished. Some people told Musk to stop. But after every failure, his team asked one simple question: what can we do better next time? They fixed one problem, then another. Finally, one launch worked. That one success helped save the company. So what made the difference? Was Musk simply luckier than everyone else? Or was he doing something that anyone could learn? Maybe the biggest difference is much simpler. One small decision, made again the next day, and the day after that. The world is full of great ideas. You probably have a few of your own. Most of those ideas never go anywhere at all. Not because they were bad ideas. They stay stuck, quietly, in someone's notebook, or in the back of someone's mind, forever. Only one thing ever turns an idea into something real: execution. Not talking about the idea, not planning it forever, in perfect, careful detail. Start before everything feels perfect. Learn while you are doing it. Keep moving. This single word, execute, is where almost every real difference quietly begins. Now think about your own life. How many good ideas have quietly passed through your mind over the last few years? A business idea, a creative project, a change you kept meaning to finally make. Where are most of those ideas today? Probably still exactly where they started, as ideas. You're not the only person who has done this. Almost everyone has. That's why Musk's story matters. It wasn't only about having big ideas. It was about turning those ideas into real work, one step at a time, for years. That difference between having an idea and building it is what we're really exploring today. Remember that difference. Ideas are easy. Action is rare. But before we go any further, there's one belief that quietly stops many people before they even begin. Before anyone starts chasing a dream, one belief often gets in the way. It sounds like this: people like me don't become successful. Only lucky people do. People born with more money. People born with more talent. People simply are born luckier than you. Strange as it sounds, this idea can feel safe. Because if success is only luck, then you never have to risk failing. If success only comes from luck, then your own choices never really mattered much at all. But when you look closely, most success stories look much less exciting. Small decisions, made daily, quietly stacked up, one after another, for years. Working quietly, while someone else chose to rest instead. Studying, while someone else scrolled their phone. None of that looks exciting or lucky from the outside. It just looks like a small, boring effort. Then comes another trap. Maybe you've felt this one before. The waiting trap. Waiting for the perfect moment. Waiting to finally feel fully ready. Waiting for enough confidence to arrive first, before taking any real first step forward. Most people have this order completely backward, without even realizing it. They believe confidence comes first, and action follows safely, only after confidence finally arrives. In real life, it almost always works the exact opposite way around. Action comes first, even when it feels shaky and uncertain. Confidence follows quietly, afterward. Think about riding a bike. Nobody feels ready the first time. You learn because you ride, not because you waited until you felt brave. You take one small step, imperfectly. Then, slowly, a small amount of confidence appears. Waiting can feel safe, but waiting for the perfect feeling often means waiting forever. Now, let's talk honestly about fear, because fear plays a huge, quiet role in all of this. Maybe you know these feelings: fear of failing, fear of what people might say, fear of hearing the word no. These fears rarely announce themselves loudly. They work quietly, in the background, quietly killing dreams. They convince you to stay exactly where you are, safe, inside your comfort zone. Your comfort zone feels warm, familiar, and completely safe, most of the time. But growth and comfort almost never live in the very same place, at the very same time. If you want real growth, you eventually have to step outside that familiar, comfortable space. That step always feels a little frightening. It's supposed to feel that way, honestly. Let's slow down on that idea of fear for a moment, because it deserves closer attention. Fear of failure often sounds like a quiet voice, whispering, "What if you try and it doesn't work?" But there is another question. What if you never try? That voice never mentions what happens if you never try at all. It only shows you one possible future, the painful one, and stays completely silent about the other. Fear of criticism works in a similar, quiet way, in the background of your mind. What will people think if this doesn't work out the way I hoped? We all want people to like us. That's normal. That fear alone has quietly stopped more dreams than almost any other single force. Rejection hurts, so your brain tries to protect you. It tells you don't take the risk. Notice something important about all three of these fears once you look closely at them. None of them are really about the future at all, even though they claim to be. They're about protecting you, right now, from any possible future pain or discomfort. That protection feels helpful in the short term, but it slowly, quietly costs you your whole future. A comfort zone isn't dangerous because it's a bad place to be. Exactly. The danger isn't that your comfort zone feels bad. The danger is that it feels so good, you never want to leave. Most people don't decide to give up. They simply stay where they are, one easy day after another. Recognizing that choice, honestly, is often the very first real step out of it. So what happens when two people face the same fear, but make different choices? Let's find out. Imagine two people. They have the same dream. They start on the same day. To keep the story simple, let's call them the dreamer and the achiever. Both of them feel genuinely excited, at the very beginning, about this shared big idea. The dreamer talks about the idea constantly, at dinners, at parties, to anyone who will listen. Great plans, great vision, endless talk about what they are going to do one day soon. The achiever, meanwhile, says very little about it at all, most of the time. Instead, quietly, Every single day, they do one small, real piece of actual work. One email, 1 hour of practice, one small job finished before going to bed. At first, they don't look very different. Both still believe in the dream. But every small day begins to matter. Slowly, the gap grows. A year passes. The dreamer is still talking about the exact same idea, unchanged. The achiever is standing in front of something real now, something that actually, truly exists. Along the way, the achiever also failed. Many times, honestly, more than they'd like to admit. But they treated each failure differently than most people usually do. Not as proof that they should quietly quit and give up completely. They asked, "What can this teach me?" A hard, honest lesson about what to try differently next time. This is what consistency really looks like. Not one perfect, dramatic week of effort, followed by months of silence and inaction. Small, steady, repeated action, especially on the days it feels boring, or pointless, or hard. There's one more difference worth noticing closely between these two very different people. Then something goes wrong. It always does. The market wasn't ready. I didn't have enough support. The timing was simply wrong for me. The achiever, instead, tends to look inward first, even when it's genuinely uncomfortable to do so. What could I have done differently here? What is actually in my control right now? This is real ownership, not blame, just honest, complete responsibility for your own next move. Ownership doesn't mean every hard thing that happens to you is somehow your fault. It simply means your response to it always, fully, belongs to you, no matter what happened. Let's return to the dreamer and the achiever for one more moment, because there's more to notice. 6 months into their shared idea, something interesting quietly starts to happen. The hard part isn't starting anymore. The hard part is continuing. The dreamer's excitement, once bright and loud, has slowly, quietly faded into something much quieter. They still believe in the idea, but belief alone hasn't produced anything real yet. The achiever's excitement has faded too, in exactly the same honest way. That's the surprise. Neither person feels excited anymore. The difference isn't that one of them stayed excited and the other one didn't. The difference is that the achiever kept working, quietly, even after the excitement had completely disappeared. This is a detail most people miss when they study stories of big success from the outside. They imagine constant excitement, driving the whole journey forward, from beginning to end. In reality, most of the journey happens after the excitement has already quietly left the room. What's left is one simple choice: show up anyway. A year later, the difference between these two people is finally impossible to miss. One of them has a story, still full of someday and eventually and when the time is right. The other has something real, standing in front of them, built from many small, quiet days. Neither of them was smarter than the other at the very beginning of this whole story. Neither of them had more luck, or fewer hard days, or an easier road to walk. The only real difference, in the end, was what they each chose to do, quietly, every single day. That single difference, repeated for a year, quietly built two completely different lives. Nothing was guaranteed for either person. Both were simply built, one quiet day at a time. They started in the same place. They dreamed about the same future, but one kept moving, the other kept waiting. That's how small daily choices slowly become two very different lives. Every long journey reaches the same place, a place where many people stop, not because they can't continue, but because they don't want to feel uncomfortable anymore. Something quieter than all of that. At the very beginning of any big goal, excitement carries you forward easily, almost effortlessly. New idea, new energy, new motivation, practically pushing you out of bed each morning. But that feeling never stays for long. Weeks pass, then months, The newness quietly fades into something far more ordinary and far more difficult. Then you reach something almost everyone experiences, the difficult middle, the part nobody talks about. Not loudly, not dramatically. They simply, slowly stop showing up, one quiet day at a time. Here's the uncomfortable truth about this exact stretch of the whole journey. This difficult middle isn't a sign that something has gone wrong with your plan, but this is also the place where strong people are made. It's where resilience gets tested, again and again, long after the initial excitement has completely disappeared. This is also where people learn one important lesson. Motivation is temporary. It arrives, without warning, and disappears again just as quickly, without any warning either. You can't build an entire life on something this unsteady, no matter how good it once felt. Discipline works completely differently, and far more reliably, than motivation ever could. Discipline is different. It doesn't wait for the perfect mood. It doesn't ask how you feel before deciding whether to show up today. People who reach their goals don't ask, "Do I feel like it today?" They simply do the work anyway, because of their larger mission, not because of a passing feeling. That single shift from feeling to mission is the real, quiet secret, hiding inside this whole difficult middle. There's an old, simple image worth remembering here. The strongest tree is the one that survives a real storm. A tree that's never faced wind or rain or real pressure stays soft and stays weak underneath. The storm doesn't damage the strongest trees permanently. It actually builds their strength, slowly, over years. Resilience works in exactly this same quiet way. Inside a person, over a long stretch of time, you don't become stronger on the easy days. You become stronger when you keep going on the hard ones. Every person who eventually reaches a big dream has walked directly through their own difficult middle. There are no real exceptions to this pattern, no matter how effortless success might look from far away. What looks like overnight success, from the outside, usually hides years of this difficult middle. And here's the good news. It means the difficult middle isn't a sign you chose the wrong dream or the wrong path. It's simply a normal, expected part of any real journey worth taking seriously. Knowing that in advance can change how it feels, even if it doesn't remove the difficulty itself. Instead of asking, "Why is this so hard?" ask yourself, "What is one thing I can do today?" So what does this mean for you? Maybe less than you think. You don't need a completely new life. You just need one small action today, then another tomorrow. If you forget everything else, remember these 3 ideas. First, think of solutions, not problems. When something goes wrong, most people spend their energy explaining exactly why it went wrong. Instead, ask a more useful question. What is my very next move, starting right now? One simple question can get you moving again. Second, take full ownership, instead of quietly blaming your circumstances. Life won't always be fair, but your next choice is still yours. Third, act before confidence arrives, not after it finally shows up. Stop waiting until you feel ready. That day may never come. Take one small step today, even if it feels scary. Solutions over problems, ownership over blame, action before confidence. Those are the 3 real lessons here. They sound simple. Living them every day is the hard part. But these small daily choices are what turn dreams into real life. Let's make this personal. Think about one dream, not 5, just one. The one that keeps coming back to your mind. What is the smallest possible action you could take today, related to that exact dream? Not the whole plan, not the perfect version. Just one small, honest, imperfect first step. Do that one thing today, even without feeling ready, even without feeling fully confident yet. Tomorrow, do one more small thing, whether you feel motivated or not that day. That's the whole idea. No secret trick, no shortcut, just one small, repeated decision made quietly, day after day. You don't need millions of dollars. You don't need to build rockets. And you don't need special talent. You only need to be honest with yourself and willing to keep going, even on the boring days. Before we finish, let's go back to where this story began. Almost everyone has a dream, but only a few people ever turn that dream into real life. Now you know why that gap becomes bigger every year. It was never really about talent. It was never really about luck either. It was about small daily decisions, quietly repeated, long after the initial excitement had faded away. Time is the one resource you can never, ever get back once it has quietly passed. Every single day you wait for the perfect moment is a day that simply doesn't return. The real cost of never trying isn't loud or dramatic or immediately obvious most of the time. It's quiet. It shows up later as regret, sitting patiently in the back of your mind. One day, you look back and you realize the hardest part wasn't failing. It was never trying. But your story is not finished yet. Anyone can start from exactly one small step. Today, right now, wherever you happen to be standing. One small step, followed by another, and then another, refusing to quietly quit along the way. That alone can slowly change an entire future. One small, repeated decision at a time. There is no perfect age to begin, no perfect amount of money, no perfect level of readiness. There is only today, and one small, honest step you could actually take, right now. Not tomorrow, not someday. Today. Let's remember this story, one more time, in a few short lines. Almost everyone dreams. Almost no one truly executes. Waiting for confidence keeps most people stuck inside their own comfort zone. Failure is a teacher, quietly, not a final, permanent ending. The difficult middle is exactly where discipline finally replaces motivation. Ownership means your very next move always fully belongs to you. And one small, consistent step, refusing to quit, can quietly change everything. Before we finish, let's quickly review today's keywords. Execute. Actually doing the work, not only planning or talking about it. Discipline. Doing the work anyway, whether you feel like it or not. Consistency. Showing up daily, quietly, not just once, on one exciting day. Ownership. Taking full, honest responsibility for your own next move. Comfort zone. The safe, familiar place where real growth usually can't happen. Resilience. The quiet strength built by surviving hard, difficult seasons. Regret, the quiet pain of a dream that was never truly attempted. Execute, discipline, consistency, ownership, comfort zone, resilience, regret. If this story meant something to you today, tell me in the comments. What is the one small step you will take today? I'd love to read your answer.